It was the costliest natural disaster in US history.
The levees had breached, and water was pouring into the city like it was pouring water out of a pitcher.
The city was a cemetery, a ghost town.
We survived and we overcame, and we're much better now than we were then.
In August 2005, Hurricane Katrina and the devastating floods it caused plunged 80% of New Orleans underwater. 1,800 people died and thousands fled. It seemed possible one of America's most unique destinations might never recover. 10 years since Katrina blew in, the song rising from this area is not a melancholy one. We're here to see if a revival is in full swing. We begin in the French Quarter, the heart of the city's music scene. Sam Kraft is part of the new generation of New Orleans musicians. He's one of 7 members of the indie rock band Sweet Crude.
Katrina helped sort of put a magnifying glass on New Orleans in a way that it wasn't before. I think it made people more aware of how precious our greatest resource is, which is the culture. So I think what the hurricane did was not sort of overshadow what was already here, but I think magnify what we have here.
Describe the city now then.
Well, New Orleans is, I mean, it's got all of the same things that make it quintessentially New Orleans. The interesting part about it is that these things are bigger than ever. They're more than ever. There was this national spotlight for such a duration of time. And I think we, as New Orleanians, fell in love with this place that we call home because we learned to appreciate it better.
Some people would say that Katrina kind of kick-started a creative wave in New Orleans. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, I mean the wake-up call that created was really key in getting everyone to pour all of their resources into remembering and revitalizing the music of New Orleans. It was a really important part of the development of Louisiana and New Orleans music culture for sure, definitely.
And was your band Sweet Crude going before Katrina, or did it come after?
No, it came after. We were definitely shaped by Katrina because of that. But we didn't start until only a couple of years ago, so we've had a lot of time to sort of gestate in the city and kind of come of age before launching into it. We all played music at that time in our early, late high school, early college days. But I think that it shaped us a great deal, and so we've been able to come up as a post-Katrina band.
And you sing in English and French, Cajun French. Why?
Well, it's interesting that dialect of Louisiana French is it's in a very interesting place right now where if we don't continue it, it's in a very dire situation where it could just fall out of use. And so we don't want that to happen. We want to show that this language is alive. We want to preserve it with something like music because then it can have some kind of posterity. It can be continued to be appreciated and experienced. And so we want to make modern music, but then take this ancient dialect and put it in the new music.
Do you feel links to France then?
Definitely. A lot of my heritage, French heritage, is Louisiana, but it's via France and not via Canada like a lot of Cajun people identify with. And I think that even then, everyone can trace their lineage back to France. So there's a very strong link.
One in the hand, two in the bush. You got my queen, but I've got your rooks. The castle is soon falling. It's coming down and the moon's calling. Hey, whoa, no need to be so upset. This is as good as it gets.
Music is part of New Orleans' DNA. Dozens of the city's performers live here in Musicians Village, in the Upper 9th Ward, an area in the west of the city that was worst hit. It was built to accommodate destitute musicians determined to stay in the city, known as the birthplace of jazz. If any individual embodied jazz music, it was Louis Armstrong, the young trumpet genius who hurtled out of poverty and obscurity in the New Orleans ghetto. But there's more to this city than jazz.
It's raining so hard, look like it's gonna rain all night. And this is the time I'd love to be holding you tight.
Known as the Soul Queen of New Orleans, Irma Thomas is a Grammy Award-winning singer. We meet in the Marinier Opera House, a community arts centre. Why do you think jazz was born in New Orleans, out of all places?
It's a city that was the only large southern city. And of course, being a port city, there's lots of migrants who were here. And of course, slaves were sold here. So I think because of that, a lot of the music was their way of not dealing with what they had to deal with.
And did you ever get to meet Louis Armstrong?
Yes, I did.
What was he like?
He's just like he is whenever you see him on the screen, very bubbly, very friendly. He is Louis Armstrong.
So now, 2015, how would you describe the music from New Orleans?
It's kind of hard to describe. I can say that it's just different. More rhythmically than musically overall. New Orleans has a special rhythm that you can detect in all of its music, be it gospel, soul, as you call it, which there's no genre, rhythm and blues, pop, or even country.
So what do New Orleans musicians bring to the table that no other musician can?
Soul. We have a special feeling the way we play our music. It's something that can't be taught. It has to be inbred in you. You grow up listening to it all your life, and it's just part of who you are.
And they call you the Soul Queen of New Orleans.
Because I just sing from my heart, and that's where the soul is.
And you've been here through many hurricanes, but you always stayed.
We stayed.
You weren't tempted
The only
to
time
leave?
I didn't stay was this time because I had a job somewhere else. So when we woke up the next morning after that night and tuned into the television at the hotel, that's when we saw what had happened after the storm had gone. The levees had breached, and water was pouring into the city like you was pouring water out of a pitcher. When they were flying over, showing the cameras, we were able to see our home. But we all had water up to the eaves from the outside, and on the inside, it was up to the top of the doors. So we weren't able to get back to the city to even see anything till almost 2 weeks. It was 3 weeks before we could actually get into where our house is.
And what happened when you came back?
You just look and see what you can salvage, and you shed a few tears and you move on.
And since then, New Orleans has had a lot of attention, not just because of Katrina, but because of the television series Treme,
Oh, yeah.
because Brad Pitt came and built houses here. I mean, has that been good for the city?
It has had its good points and its bad points. When they filmed New Orleans, up until Treme, they had this strange accent that none of us spoke in this city. We're trying to figure out, where did they get that from? So finally, when Treme came along, they were able to see the true New Orleans, even though it was a devastated version of New Orleans. They still didn't try to make us sound like some foreign language or some foreign speaking person. They talked the way we talk. They used actors from New Orleans to play those various parts. So, and they got it right. And they did shine a light on New Orleans music industry, because up until after the Katrina situation, New Orleans musicians and artists were taken for granted. And then when that happened, they realized how important the music of this city is to this city. So Katrina served two purposes. It made us realize that stuff is stuff, and music is very important to this city. What makes the girl that way? The girl doesn't even smile at all. But I wonder what my friends would say if their world just came down one day and they were in the middle of it all.
With its swamplands, bayous, voodoo, and tax breaks, New Orleans has a new reputation as the Hollywood South. 12 Years a Slave and Beasts of the Southern Wild were both shot in and around the city, making the most of local talent.
I love the bayou, and its atmosphere is peaceful, calm, and friendly, and It's a place that you come to and when you just want to relax and have a good time and enjoy yourself and enjoy the beauty and all of the nature. It's a wonderful place just to come and relax and enjoy yourself.
Dwight Henry was working nights in his small New Orleans bakery when Hollywood came calling.
Winston! Yo, Winston!
He became the unlikely star of Oscar-nominated film Beasts of the Southern Wild.
They're all down below trying to breathe through water.
And part of Beasts of the Southern Wild was filmed here?
It's filmed right here in the Honey Island Swamp, because if you really look at the terrain, and if you're not from here, and if you shoot it from a certain angle, it look like it's a flood that's going on in some of these houses right here.
Tell us about the experience of being in the film.
Well, it's my first film. I'm a baker, never inspired to be in the film business, never acted before. So one day, me and Michael Gottwald, the casting director, was sitting in the bakery, and it's like, Michael, I want to come over there and audition for y'all film since y'all come over here and eat all the time. I just was being funny. I want to come over and see what y'all doing in that little room over there. So me and him, we walked over there, and I go in the room. He handed me a script. He handed the actress a script. So we finished, and I go back to the bakery like nothing ever happened. Lo and behold, about 2 weeks after that, he walks up in the bakery, my new bakery that had just opened up. Mr. Henry, we want to give you the lead part in our feature film.
So how have things changed for you since then?
Well, I got a chance to meet some of the most wonderfulest people that I have admired my whole life. I got a chance to meet, go to the White House, meet Miss Oprah Winfrey, do her show. You wouldn't believe, when I first came back from doing Beasts and Academy Awards and all these wonderful things that I've done, I used to get kids come from the worst areas of town, from the worst schools in the city, come to me and tell me how proud they were of all of the things that I was doing. For me to be able to inspire some of these youngsters is more important to me than anything.
And there's a world of opportunity open to you now. You were in 12 Years a Slave, you were in the Marvin Gaye film.
Yes.
You're not tempted to go to Hollywood? I mean, this is a place that has hurricanes. In summer, it's unbearably hot. You're staying in New Orleans? I
wouldn't trade the best city in the world for Hollywood, for nothing in the world. I mean, we have the best food in the world. We have the best music in the world. We have some of the best weather. It might be a little hot down here, but you know, we have good weather. So many wonderful things that I can say about my city, our culture, the people, and I wouldn't trade it in for Hollywood, for nothing in the world.
Food, movies, music, and art. New Orleans is regarded as an up-and-coming arts powerhouse. And the memory of Katrina still floods into artists' work. The New Orleans Museum of Art is marking the anniversary with a 10 Years Gone exhibition. One of the 6 people taking part is Dawn Dideau.
Well, this was a place I had pre-Katrina and did a lot of digital work here.
And what happened to it in the hurricane?
The couple of trees fell in, so the roof collapsed. But the big thing is we got water, so it came up to as high as the porch.
And so why didn't you rebuild it like it was before?
I kind of thought it looked interesting. When I started patching it up, I liked the way it looked, and I said this could just, for me, be a large installation project. Come have a look inside. Is that all right? Entree. This is the art shack. This was the very first piece I did after Katrina, because I wrote out Katrina on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and this is a painting with just earth. You totally unplugged. There was nothing, you had no materials, so I found some wood and some earth and did some mud paintings.
So what did Katrina do to you as an artist then?
Oh gosh, it just changed me. It made me more hands-on, returned me to sculpture and wanting to rebuild a physical presence since so much was destroyed. It was odd that I had such a burning creative impulse. I'd never had such an extreme desire to make art, and I think it was to both maybe the artistic impulse. There's an impulse to document this phenomenal experience, but I also think it's to give identity back. This is a mud painting, early mud painting, and here I'm trying to hold the earth together with strings, and that was an overture to the failed attempt of the levees to contain the wildness of nature. There's a boat in a tree, which is the common thing when you were riding around after Katrina. The boats weren't down here, they were kind of like birds on the top of trees.
And for the city, do you think anything good came out of Katrina?
So what has happened since Katrina? While we lost a lot of people who should not have had to have left, we do have better schools. I think what real estate we did have left, the architecture, I think there's been a lot of revival on that. Looks like our healthcare system's going to come back stronger. I think we're in better shape with our politics, with our political infrastructure. So those are important quality of life issues, and they're much better post-Katrina. But you can't say it without saying, oh God, what a cost, what a cost.
Here in this utterly unique place, the memory of Hurricane Katrina and her floods isn't far away. But 10 years on, New Orleans has got its groove back. And although the music was silenced for a while, the band plays on.